Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday, April 26th edition of NHL Grinders Live. I'm going to be your host today, Sean, PSU Fans 2 Newsham. Joining me is the wonderful Tim Buell. Tim, how's it going on this lovely Tuesday?
Good. This is going to be my last day playing DFS hockey contest, but today we still have some really good contests in the lobby. We got a 333 with 10K up top, and I'm definitely going to enter at least one in that, if not three. So today's my last day for hockey.
Yep, wrapping up. I believe the final games of the year are actually on Friday. I'm pretty sure that's the end of the regular season on Friday. So definitely wrapping up. We got a huge 13-game slate for you guys today. Make sure that if you guys are dabbling in NHL tonight and you want to check out the NHL value rankings, the premium NHL value rankings are free today for anybody to use. You can check that out on the NHL page on Rotogrinders.com to see your thoughts from the favorite analysts for today's slate. And then also, if you guys are looking for more of a sports betting theme, we've got you covered at scoresandodds.com, your number one place for all things sports betting. Check it out for daily expert picks, analysis, and tools to make you a better sports bettor. Did you put anything out there today for the NHL slates, Tim?
I sure did. I have two shot prop bets for hockey, and then in my article, I also have a couple of NBA bets and a couple of MLB bets.
Nice. So yeah, as you guys can see, Tim's one of the people that are producing picks. I threw out a soccer bet today. A lot of other great experts are throwing out picks with some great advice and thoughts, especially props. I always really like shot props, yardage props in football and stuff like that. I think that you might not be able to get tons down sometimes, but they're usually you can find some really good values on some of them.
The prop market is the softest market. I mean, I think hands down, especially I'm not a huge football person, but I know in hockey their shot prop lines are by far the softest in the industry.
Yeah, college football is really bad. There was like college football, I'd be looking at my model compared to like the yardage props. Like a quarterback's over under would be 241 yards, and my model would have it at like 370. And I'd be sitting there looking at it like there was twice back-to-back weeks. There was a rushing prop. The one guy had a rushing prop at 40 yards, and his like projection was like 115 yards. He busted his knee on the first play and missed the rest of the game. Same thing happened the next week, and I was just sitting there laughing. I was like, well, that's not a good way to do that. But anyways, enough about that stuff. We're going to dig into the slate here. First game on the slate is Carolina
and Carolina is so good at possessing the puck. I do expect them to be able to put a lot of shot volume on Shesterkin. So, I mean, I know that I always talk up Shesterkin, but this is a really good spot for him in GPPs and in cash games. And at only 7,900, if he's the one that gets the nod, he will be my primary goalie. And I think that you should be overweight on him in GPPs. I don't have a specific line for Carolina. And like I said, I don't really want that much exposure to them anyway, because they're just, the expected goal total in this game is not very high. So it's really from this game, if you want to play some Rangers, that's okay. Carolina does take a lot of penalties, but on the other side of that, they have the best penalty kill in all of hockey. So don't get so excited when you see that they take a lot of penalties, because their penalty kill is literally the best in hockey. So I don't expect there to be a ton of goals in this game. Vegas has the Rangers as a favorite, so if they win this game 2-1, Igor will be in the winning GPP lineup.
Yeah, exactly. And so Shesterkin is obviously one of your favorite goaltenders. Anyone else on the Rangers you like at all? I know with not many goals here, 2-1 game, probably not.
Not really. I mean, I'm a bigger fan of Rangers 2 than I am of 1. I don't mind maybe a Panarin one-off, but really, like I said, this game is as close to a stay away as I can get.
All right, next game we have one of the bigger favorites on the night, Tampa Bay at home, -1, 393 favorite against the Blue Jackets. So we will start with Tampa Bay side of things. I expect not much of sort of appeal for you on the Columbus side. So with Tampa Bay, everyone's sort of priced a bit high, except for once you get past the Stamkos, Kucherov, Hedman group, nobody's astronomical. Anyone you like here on Tampa Bay?
Well, I think the Lightning are turning on to their playoff mode right now. Kucherov has goals in 6 or 7 straight games, and he's just on fire right now. And I personally think that 7,300 is too cheap for him. My favorite defenseman, for raw points, is Victor Hedman. I think he's going to have more raw points than Yossi, than Makar, than Hamilton. So he's actually my top priority in terms of defenseman. I really like the idea of doing a Stamkos, Hedman, Kucherov stack. I would just assume leave off Brandon Point and Andre Palat, even though Palat's 2,900, so he's cheap enough. But I'd rather get to Killorn, who has time on the first power play unit. But yeah, no, I don't. I certainly don't have any interest in Columbus today. If you're looking for a safer option at goalie, but Vasilevsky's kind of my favorite cash game or double up goalie. But I don't know. He's not going to get a ton of volume. So yeah, it's really just the expensive pieces for the Lightning.
For sure. All right, next game we have Edmonton traveling to Pittsburgh to face the Penguins. Pittsburgh's a slight favorite here, -142. Goal total in this game is at 6.71, give or take, right about now. We'll start with the Penguins. I know that this is a team that we talked about, and they sort of lack having the astronomical upside that other teams have. Anyone on the Penguins you like tonight?
So the very first thing that I saw was Brian Rust's price at 5,700. I think that he would make for a really good one-off. I think you could get away with not playing Sidney Crosby at 8K tonight. I think that's a little too much. I think his shot rates are a little too low. But that isn't to say that, this Pittsburgh team isn't going to score goals. So, I mean, I would be okay with a Rust, Letang kind of two-man, but I wouldn't get too carried away with this game. I don't think it has quite the ceiling that you're going to need to, finish in the top 5% of a GPP.
For sure. All right. And then on the Edmonton side of things, I will say that I believe Edmonton's going to go really under-owned tonight due to the matchup, and rightfully so. However, there's not many situations where you get guys like Draisaitl and McDavid at super low ownership, which tonight should be. So just want to point that out. But what is your thoughts on the Oilers tonight?
So I initially had that same thought as you. I was like, oh, wow, this is going to be a really, really low-owned spot for this Edmonton team. And yes, they will be low-owned, but they're going to have to do their scoring at 5-on-5 because the Penguins take the second fewest penalties in all of hockey, and they have the second best penalty kill in all of hockey. So Edmonton's not going to get anywhere on the power play tonight, especially playing on the road. So I'm a little bit tempered with my Edmonton exposure tonight, and I don't, obviously McDavid and Draisaitl can beat anybody, but Penguins have been surprisingly good at defense this year, and I'm just not for it tonight.
All right, next game, we have New Jersey traveling to Ottawa. Ottawa actually comes in here as a minus 164 or 146 favorite. So you don't see tons of games where they'll come in as a favorite. Again, though, looking at the Ottawa team, we'll start with them. There's not tons of huge scores on their team over the course of the year. No one really stands out as guys that will go out there and really perform. Is there anyone that you like on Ottawa tonight?
I do have quite a bit of interest in Ottawa tonight. I think I am going to try to play Brady Tkachuk in my single entry team at only 6K. I think that the Devils might be without Nico Hischier tonight. There's an illness going through that locker room, and now they have to travel to Canada. And I think that this same New Jersey team just lost 3-0 to Detroit. The Devils' goaltending isn't very good anyway. So I actually have quite a bit of interest in guys like Tkachuk, Batherson, and Norris, that top line, fully correlated on even strength and on the power play. And I think it's worth noting that Thomas Chabot is back for the Senators. And although I probably won't play him in fantasy tonight, he adds a lot of good things to this team and helps them move the puck and generate play. So I think that the Senators win this game pretty easily. And I think that it's going to be that, top line.
For sure. And then on the New Jersey side, based on the comments and thoughts that Ottawa wins this game relatively easily, I'm going to assume that you are not really touching much with the Devils.
No, I wouldn't, and it's hard to analyze because this whole Nico Hischier illness situation. You're really going to have to check out our Discord pregame to make sure you have the correct lines. Because if he's out, I'm not really sure what they're going to be doing. I think you could do like maybe a Dawson Mercer, Thomas Tatar, little two-man because they're extremely cheap. And Ottawa probably will give up a goal or two. But by no means would I be overweight on anyone for New Jersey. I think they would just be like a little bit of a sprinkle for me.
For sure. All right, next game, we have the New York Islanders traveling to Washington, where the Capitals are minus 184 favorite. Big news in this game is that Alexander Ovechkin is a game-time decision. We don't know whether or not yet he will be in the game. So we'll start with the Capitals. How are you approaching sort of the situation with Ovechkin being a game-time decision currently?
My lean and how I'm projecting things tonight is that he'll be out, but I have nothing to quantify that with. I know that they said that they weren't going to take any chances with him. So whatever that means, I don't really know. But I'm guessing he doesn't play. Again, this is definitely one of those situations where you're going to want to be paying attention to Discord because I think that maybe a guy like Anthony Mantha might become interesting. He might get the bump to the power play one. Where he already correlates with TJ Oshie on the third line. So if he stays on that kind of third line with Oshie and gets power play run, they're so cheap that I think that they make for a really good GPP two-man. But this game, for the most part, doesn't appeal to me that much. It's not like other sports where instantly these guys become huge values because the best player on the team is out. So it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work like that in hockey. But I do think that a little two-man like Mantha and Oshie, if Ovi's out, would be viable. If Oshie, and I will also say that if Ovi's out, then it might give a boost to a guy like Sorokin, who's pretty cheap for the Islanders, and I think that he would be kind of a pretty okay tournament goalie.
For sure. All right, and then on the Islanders side of things, talking about more of their skaters, this is a team that really doesn't produce over the course of the season, like you've talked about before. They do not generate tons of offensive explosion. Is there anyone that stands out to you at all from the Islanders side?
There isn't any one particular piece that stands out to me. There's guys like Palmieri and Zach Parise that you could roster, but I wouldn't be too aggressive with it because the Islanders team as a whole kind of spread out their scoring when they do score, and they really don't have much of a ceiling. So I would not be overweight on them.
For sure. All right, next game, we have Florida traveling to Boston, where Florida is actually a very small favorite in this game. So we'll start with the Panthers. This looks to be a really tight game, but there are expected to be goals in this game. What are your thoughts on the Panthers first?
I'm struggling with what to do with the Panthers because, like you said, this total is pretty high, but Florida is priced very high. Like, I'm not going to pay, I think it is 8,400 for Barkov against Boston. That's just not going to be part of my player pool. Like, yes, he has a ceiling. Yes, he's a great player, but tonight that's just going to be a pass for me. The same goes for Huberdeau. Like, I'm just not going to pay 7,800 for him on this slate when we have so many options. I'm not going to go into Boston with these prices. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations that it could burn you, but if it burns me, it burns me. So I don't think I'm going to get there with these expensive Panthers. I do have some interest in Boston tonight. Pasternak and Lindholm are coming back tonight, so Boston will be full strength. Pasternak's only 6,600, and I think that's too cheap for him. I think he makes for a really, really strong tournament play. I think Charlie McAvoy at 4,700 makes for a really good tournament play. I think that would be about it for me.
For sure. All right. And then on the Boston side, we have a bit more people that have high price tags with Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak all being 6.6 and above. Is there anyone on Boston that sticks out at all?
Yeah, like Pasternak and McAvoy would be my two favorite for Boston. I think as we break down this entire slate, people are going to see that this like 5 to 6K range at wing is absolutely loaded. So, you can't play everybody. And there's 13 games. And yes, and Florida does, they do give up goals. They play at a fast pace. But, Pasternak is definitely worth being in the pool, but I wouldn't get too overweight on him.
All right, next game on the card, we have Detroit traveling to Toronto, where the Maple Leafs are the second biggest favorite on the slate at minus 450-ish right now. So we'll start with that of Toronto. I expect a lot of people to be heavily on the Leafs tonight. What's your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I mean, they've got to be a heavy exposure tonight in everyone's GPP pool. Toronto's still playing Austin Matthews elite minutes. He's still getting minutes well over 20. Michael Bunting is out for Toronto, and I think it's going to be Kerfoot that plays with Marner and Matthews on the top line. So he's only 2,800. So that makes that whole line very, very affordable. William Nylander also has jumped up to the top line at even strength. So he should be part of your pool. He's this whole Toronto team, like Jake Muzzin is 2,500. There's plenty of value tonight. You don't have to play Jake Muzzin, but Jake Muzzin should never be min price. So if you're just looking for a cheap defenseman to get some correlation with these more expensive Maple Leafs, then yeah, definitely play him. I think I'm out on Morgan Riley just because his shot rates are so low. John Tavares is just not the same guy that he used to be, but I'm definitely all for being overweight on Matthews and Marner for sure.
All right. And then on the Detroit side of things, as one of the major underdogs on the slate, is not much I like. However, Toronto does typically give up some offensive abilities. Is there anyone on Detroit that stands out?
Tyler Bertuzzi at 5,400, I think could be part of the player pool. This is just, Toronto is not that great defensively. Like Philip Hronek, 3,400 power play 1. I think that'd be an okay play. They're just really, without Larkin, this Detroit team is just so dreadful. And I just think that there's just so many more better options tonight.
For sure. All right, next game, we have Calgary traveling to Nashville to take on the Predators. Calgary, however, is a slight favorite in this game. We'll start with the home team, the Nashville Predators. We have our favorite, most expensive defenseman, Roman Josi, out there. Does he interest you tonight, or does anyone else on Nashville stand out?
Josie doesn't really interest me at all tonight. Like, yeah, that could obviously burn me, but there are just so many like higher, high price pieces that I want to get to. He's just not a priority. 8,400 is a ton for a defenseman. It's these two teams just played last week. Nashville won 3-2, and that's exactly what I think this game is going to be tonight. It's going to be a lower scoring game, a playoff feel to it. I don't want to have a lot of exposure to Nashville or Calgary. If you really want to have a piece, then I think it's Forsberg, but I wouldn't get too carried away with it. If you really want a piece from Calgary, I think it's Andrew Mangiapane and Noah Hannafin, because Nashville does struggle on special teams, and they're your cheapest pieces of the power play one for the Flames. But this Calgary Flames top line, they are explosive. They are usually pretty low owned, but I don't think this is the going on the road in Nashville is not the place that I expect to see a ceiling performance. So for those reasons, I'm kind of lower on them.
That makes sense. All right, next game, we have Arizona traveling to Minnesota. The Wild are the biggest favorite on the slate at minus 560. So we will start with Minnesota, who do have a few people that will not be playing in this game. Matt Zuccarello's out. Jared Spurgeon will be out, as well as Matt Dumba. So we have a lot of people that are going to be out from Minnesota, which is probably a good thing because it opens up some sort of value for other people. So what is your thoughts on this Minnesota team as such a big favorite?
Yeah, I mean, it's really Minnesota and Toronto tonight for me. Minnesota is they should still have incentive to win this game because they're really close to the Blues for the second seed in their conference, or in their division. Sorry, so they're not going to go light on Arizona tonight, and they should just run them over. Kevin Fiala should be in your cash games tonight. He should really be he and Austin Matthews should be your first two skaters in your lineup for cash games this evening. Alex Goligoski is 2,500, and he's going to be on the first power play. Yeah, he's not the best offensive defenseman, but he's pretty good, and he played 23 minutes last game. Maybe we could project him for 20 minutes, top power play. He's an unbelievable value tonight. Obviously, Kirill Kaprizov. This Minnesota team is gonna dominate tonight. So I think you'd be doing yourself a strong disservice by ignoring them. I would try to at least at the very minimum match the field in your GPP pools. I would have no problem doing a full onslaught stack of Minnesota, even in your single entry type formats. There are enough affordable pieces where you can do that without completely breaking the bank. So it's full on Minnesota tonight.
For sure. All right, then on the Arizona side, I'm not expecting much from them, but is there anyone you like on Arizona at all?
No, I mean, I really can't get behind it. There's really no reason to play them.
For sure. All right, next game, we have Vegas Golden Knights against the Dallas Stars. It is pretty much a dead even game in expectancy from Vegas right now, and there's not really expected to be very many goals in this game. So I'll start with the Golden Knights. Is there anyone that stands out for you at all? I know they shut down Robin Leonard yesterday for the rest of the season. Does anyone else stand out for you for Vegas?
I would be stunned if this team puts up enough goals that really hurt you. Vegas does need to win this game, I think, to hang on to it for a chance for the playoffs. But I'm pretty sure that they're real close to being out. So they don't pick up 2 points tonight. I think they're out. And I think Dallas would clinch a playoff berth if they get 2 points tonight. So it would really surprise me if Vegas put up, 3 or more goals. I see really no reason to attack them on such a big slate. Like, I would like to say that I want to play Mark Stone at 4,400, but this just isn't the spot. This isn't the slate. Same goes for, Jack Eichel. It's just, he seems too cheap, but this spot is a really bad spot. So I'm not going to be playing any Vegas tonight.
For sure. And even on the Dallas side, like, there's not much that stands out to me there. Is there anything different that you see that I might not?
All I'll say is what I always say about Dallas is that their top line, they score like something. I think Taylor told me something like 40% of the team's total goals are on that first line. So their first line is so talented, and it's so good for fantasy. Hintz's price has gotten a little bit too high, Robertson, but Joe Pavelski is 5,500. I could totally get behind that for a one-off. And also, I have a lot of interest in Jake Ottinger as a GPP goalie.
For sure. All right. Next game, we have St. Louis traveling to Colorado to face the Avalanche. Avalanche are about -146 favorite. So we'll start with Colorado. They'll be without Mikko Rantanen tonight. He will not play. It's been going with him not playing for a little bit. And then Landeskog still will not play, and he won't play the rest of the year. That one's been lasting. That's not something that is new. So what's your thoughts on Colorado tonight, and especially that of Nathan MacKinnon versus Austin Matthews debate?
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely, I'd rather play Austin Matthews, but of course Austin Matthews will be higher owned. At first glance, I didn't want any piece of this, but Jordan Binnington is not the same goalie that everyone thought he was, or maybe some people thought he was. He just hasn't been very good. This Colorado top line is obviously, quite a bit cheaper. You could get Arturi Lehkonen and Valeri Nichushkin and McKinnon, and that's actually a pretty affordable line. The other thing is Colorado's lost like 4 or 5 games in a row. And now I know that they've clinched the 1 seed, but they might want to start righting the ship before the playoffs. So I think they do have some incentive to stay focused and try to dominate this game. I cannot tell. I would much rather play McKinnon over Connor McDavid. So if I had to power rank the 3, it would be Matthews, then McKinnon, then McDavid. So I think you could maybe match the field or be, something like that with Colorado.
Definitely. All right. Then on the St. Louis side, does anyone stand out for you? Not many huge price tags over there.
Honestly, I don't really want to attack Colorado on the slate. Again, it's an issue of ceiling. I don't think they're going to have any ceiling tonight. It's just I think that there's too many other good spots to attack. So I'm not going to be recommending anyone from the Blues.
All right. Next game, we have Seattle traveling to Vancouver to face the Canucks. Vancouver comes in as a pretty decent favorite here. So is there anyone on the Canucks that you like at all tonight?
Yeah, I would be okay with like a Brock Besser shot, in GPPs. Maybe like a Connor Garland, Brock Besser power play stat for, I think they combined for like $8,000. Seattle is not a good team, obviously, but they are good at suppressing shots. So that's like the one thing they do pretty well on defense. So I would not get too heavy with Vancouver. Vancouver had their little run that they went on, but now they're out of the playoff run. So they really have no incentive to go all out in this game. Like I said, I think it'd be Garland and Besser would be it for me.
For sure. All right. And then on the Seattle side, A team that's just not produced anything over the course of the season in terms of fantasy production. Anyone stand out for you at all?
Seattle might have a little bit of value, like if you wanted to put them in your utility and have some flexibility. If you need a ceiling, like if you're close to the cash line, you could throw in like Ryan Donato and hope he hits like a crazy game. 2,600 first power play. Same thing with Everly. But honestly, there isn't a lot to like in this game.
For sure. All right, last game of the slate. We have Anaheim traveling to San Jose to face the Sharks, who are actually a favorite in this game. So we'll start with that of San Jose. Timo Meyer's price is really low compared to what it was in the mid sevens. We see him under 7K here in the mid sixes, and he's been playing tons of minutes. The last 2 games, he's played over 20 each. What's your thoughts with Timo and the Sharks?
I always like Timo Meyer. I have played him so much this season, and it's been to my benefit. Some nights he's been chalky, but other nights he hasn't been. He is just so good for fantasy. Such a high shot rate. He does everything well. I have a lot of interest in him. I have a lot of interest in actually Brent Burns, which is weird to say, but he's still playing like 26, 27 minutes a night. He doesn't get first power play, but I almost don't even really care. Like I love the minutes, and I just think that this is a good spot. San Jose has been awful, but they've been playing a lot of teams close. And I think this makes for a really, really viable late night hammer.
All right. And then on the Anaheim side, does anyone stand out for you at all for the Ducks?
Honestly, no. San Jose is not really that bad of a defensive team. I'm not gonna recommend anybody from Anaheim. I don't think, other than maybe I guess you could play the Zegras line, but that was kind of a stretch.
For sure. All right. That's the last game that we'll talk about tonight. Are there any goalies that you sort of want to bring up for any reasons on this slate tonight?
So it's Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, kind of for your cash game. I would still play Shesterkin and GPPs. I like Ottinger for GPPs. I like Sorokin for the Islanders if Ovechkin's out. And I think that's about it. Oh, and I think it's Forsberg for the Senators. I kind of like for GPPs also.
Gotcha. All right. And then any other maybe value options that we haven't looked into deep today? With the big slate like this, always good to have a few value pieces to put in.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to remember like Jake Muzzin, Alex Goligoski are great min price plays. I don't know what else, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that Nick Bukestad is min price for Minnesota. He's going to be on the top line tonight. That's another part of that onslaught stack you could do for super, super cheap. It's really, there's so many cheap pieces to Minnesota that you can get to. I think that mixing and matching those pieces in GPPs is a really strong way to go.
Definitely. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for us on this Tuesday. Make sure you guys check back on Thursday, where we'll be back for the last show of the regular season. For Tim, I'm Sean. Good luck, everyone. We'll see you guys later.